At West Track Belize City, we are looking to help you save both your time and money. We've also improved our stock levels to ensure we have everything you might need for your automotive or agricultural needs. Additionally, West Track has added heavy-duty and industrial parts to keep your trucks and equipment running. At West Track Belize City, we understand that your time is important, so we want to bring our services to you at your convenience. Now you can simply send us a message on WhatsApp or Facebook, and we will be right there to help with any questions you may have.
Here at Crichton Metal, we believe our job is very essential in serving our customers. And that is just one reason why visiting us is an experience to be remembered.
Here at Crichton Metal, we have a reliable fleet of trucks. We specialize in countrywide delivery of all our material.
Crichton Metal is a family business that was started by my grandfather, who even had many of his machines hand-built decades ago to make our products the most reliable in Belize. Come visit us at our new facility on Iguana Creek Road, just past the Belize River leading to Spanish Lookout.
Free t-shirt? The answer is yes! Get a free t-shirt at Caribbean Tire with every Valvoline oil change. Caribbean Tire, taking you home safely.
Did you know that 60% of persons 60 years and older do not have access to a pension plan? 43% of those persons are living below the poverty line. The time to plan is now. Call a Sagicor advisor today. Sagicor keeps its promise to you. Wise financial thinking for life.
Life moves fast. Be prepared with Sagicor. Learn more at sagicorlife.com.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Matters. Our guest this morning is the Honorable Tracy Panton. She is the Minister of State in the Ministry of Economic Development, Petroleum Investment, Trade and Commerce, with direct oversight for investment, trade and commerce. An influential leader within the tourism industry in Belize for some 30 plus years. She has served as Belize's Director of Tourism for 12 years and as the Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Civil Aviation for 3 years, just prior to her decision to seek electoral office. Minister, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good to be here, Ms. Rhonda.
It's a pleasure and a privilege to have you in with us this morning. This is the time when everybody wants to know what's going on. But I've asked you to come here today, Minister, to discuss your life as a person. The reason I asked you to do this, like I've been asking a lot of people, is because I want people to recognize that any and everybody, once they're committed to themselves and to their goals, can reach there, regardless of how they grew up and where they grew up. Because most of the times we are faced with opportunities, it is up to us to take it. Having said that, I want to learn a little bit about your formative years. Where did you grow up?
So I grew up actually on Regent Street in Belize City. In fact, right where my constituency office is right now, we lived at those premises. I moved in Albert when I was 3 years old. Before then, we lived on Crichton Road in Belize City. And I spent all my formative years here in the Albert constituency. My parents, who were doctors, general practitioners, spent a lot of their time in community service, not only to the south side of Belize City, but also to the rural areas of Belize City and as far down south as Placencia and Independence. So a lot of our time as children were traveling with our parents to these areas so that they could deliver medical services to the communities that really didn't have access to medical care at that time. I had a very happy childhood. I have 5 siblings. And at that time in Belize, your neighbors became part of your extended family. And so we would play ball, softball behind Scotiabank as a community. We would play in Wesley Schoolyard. Those things, unfortunately, are not happening anymore. And so the community was a large part of who I became. And the relationships I was able to cultivate as a child that have extended way into my adulthood.
When you were young, what were some of the dreams that you had for yourself? What did you want to be?
I always wanted to be in tourism. My grandmother, my mother's mother, owned a small restaurant in Jamaica. So my mom is from Jamaica originally, and my father is Belizean. And we used to visit with my grandmother now and again in Jamaica, and I used to just enjoy. She had a patty shop in the front, and then at the other side, she had a steakhouse. I would just enjoy being in the restaurant, meeting people. I love people. I've always loved people. I think that's my biggest hobby, getting to know people. And so I always wanted to be in tourism, and from as far as I could remember. And so I was able to, I guess, pursue that dream, mostly by the influence of my maternal grandmother, and of course, my parents supported whatever we wanted to do.
You say you have 5 siblings. Where do you place in that lineup?
So I was the baby for 14 years until my younger brother Sean came much later in my mom's life. So I was the youngest of 4, and then Sean came along. I'm the youngest. I'm still a baby girl, I think.
You're still the baby girl. I'm sure that you are still the baby girl. What was it like in your home? Did you have chores? And if you had chores, what kinds of chores were you specifically assigned?
Absolutely, we had chores. Everybody had to do their fair share. In our house, the girls did the laundry, washed the dishes, clean the house. And of course, my brother, I only had one brother at that time, he got to do more of the men's job in the yard with my dad, or doing repairs and that kind of thing. But we had a schedule. So when you came home from school, you got your homework done, and then there were particular things that you had to do. So we grew up certainly understanding that we had to take responsibility for ourselves, and we had to take responsibility for our family. So I wanted to mention, Rhonda, that we came from very humble beginnings. My father was the oldest of 8 children, and his mother had him when she was only 15. And my grandfather at that time was a stevedore, and he was away from his family a lot. And so my father took on the responsibility of being father and older brother to his 7 siblings, who were all girls. And in fact, he ended up sending all of his sisters to school. That was, he went to school during the day, and he worked in the evenings to support his mom and his children. And my grandmother, who never had any formal education, she did any job that she could to help to support her family. And she would say to us as her grandchildren, hard work never kill a soul. She worked extremely hard. And so we grew up with that work ethic, I think, from her. And there was never a time that we visited with her that we were not brought into the chores, whether she was baking bread to sell, or ironing clothes for the neighbor, or whatever she did to raise money to support her family. We were brought into supporting her and helping her, because she wanted us to understand the value of hard work.
Who would you say had the most influence over your life when it came to your parents?
It's hard to say, because they influenced me in different ways. Certainly in terms of really being rooted in my love for this country and wanting to be of service to Belize and to our people. My father did that all his life. I mean, he gave so much of himself to the development of his community. And so And my mother influenced me in other ways. She was also a very hard worker. People say I'm most like my dad in terms of my temperament, in terms of my approach to life. My father was a straight shooter. He never minced his words. He was very direct. My mom is more gentle and kind. And so my father had a lot of influence on who I became. And he never babied us. He wanted us to be prepared for the real world. I remember when I left fourth form, I didn't want to go to sixth form. I didn't think there was anything that I wanted to do tourism, and there was no program in tourism at sixth form at the time. And my father said, okay, but that means you have to work. You need to find a job. And when I found a job, I had to give half of my salary to the house, because if you're working, you have to contribute to the well-being of the family. So in short order, Ms. Rhonda, 1.5 years, I said, it's time for me to go back to school, because I had to take on real responsibility while my siblings were going to school and didn't have to contribute in that way. And so he really made me appreciate the importance of being responsible for your life, and also being responsible for your family and those whose lives you are meant to touch.
Who's one of your greatest role models to date, and how important is it to have a role model and or a mentor?
It's absolutely important to have role models and mentors. And there are lots of people, Rhonda, who has shaped my life over the years and who have really helped me influence the way I think and how I approach things in life. But I have to say it's my mom, because she was not a Belizean. She came from Jamaica to Belize. She left her family and she had to make a life here for herself and her children, along with her husband. It was not easy for her to leave her family, and she also came from a very big family, and so she had to leave all of it behind. And she had to really plant herself in our community so she could have been accepted. And I think that she gave so much of her heart, her entire heart, to the patients she served, and just being able to serve with compassion. No matter what was thrown at her, she never deviated from the fact that she wanted to serve people with love and compassion and a sense of care and gentleness. At that time, a woman being a doctor, it was pioneering, right? She had her own independence. She did not come from a situation where my grandmother came from, where she was dependent only on her husband, was not able to go to school, that kind of thing. My mom was able to get an education and was able to use her education for good, and for good in a country that she was very unfamiliar with. And she has now lived more in Belize than she's ever lived in Jamaica. And as she always says to everybody, Belize is her home.
Minister, thank you. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will learn a little bit about why and how you decided to have entered into politics.
Did you know that it's best to keep the lumber stored in a dry place?
At KT Enterprises, all our wood is stored in an enclosed space to provide our clients with the highest quality.
We allow you to personally select your lumber if you choose, and we deliver countrywide.
Be it deckboard, beams, and imported hardwoods such as red oak and white ash. At KT Enterprises, we provide you with the highest grade in treated pine, construction grade plywood, and imported hardwood, delivered to your door.
We continue to build Belize by reforesting its pine forest. Visit us today at 2.3 miles Iguana Creek Road, or give us a call at 671-0114 or 672-0114.
New Buildings Limited is the company of choice when it comes to design, fabricating, and erection of wide-span metal buildings in Belize. At New Buildings, we have a team of well-trained professionals that can produce the most innovative and durable metal structures. Be it domestic or industrial buildings, we can get it done for you. We have put together some of the most outstanding metal structures in the country. We also do estimates and consulting. Visit New Buildings in Spanish Lookout or give them a call at 631-8723 or 610-5185. New Buildings Limited, the experts when it comes to metal structures in Belize.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because of its perfect portion sizes, and I can travel with it.
Because it's nice and soft and creamy, and it goes smooth on your bread.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because I eat it with my beans. I eat it with my fried jack. And you know why? Because it's nice.
Most of all, when you're on the plane, you know they only give you some crackers, and you could just take one out and enjoy it with Happy Cow cheese.
I'm Miss Baker, and I choose Happy Cow cheese because it goes well with all the stuff I bake.
Happy Cow cheese. Look for it in a store near you. Distributed in Belize exclusively by Emilio Ahmad and Sons Limited.
I chose Galen because of its strong reputation.
Great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
Because Galen University opens doors to the outside world. Their course offering in tourism.
It gives you more opportunity to become who I want to be.
If you want to connect with your inner champion to make the world a better place, then Galen is right for you.
Hello guys, welcome to Friends of Friends.
Friends of Friends Outback. It's the ideal meeting place for any and everyone that's looking to enjoy a great mix of indoor and outdoor comfort while sipping on your favorite drink or eating that tasty meal. They serve all the best in local and international dishes. On Thursdays, it's Mexican night, happy hour all weekend. Fridays, it's wine and dine. On Saturdays, come relax with karaoke tunes, and Sunday is family fun day. The property is equipped with games and other activities to keep everyone entertained and engaged. Friends of Friends also caters to weddings, conferences, and private parties. Visit Friends of Friends at 46 Dewdrop Estate. Follow the signs from map 11.5 Northern Highway. Friends of Friends Outback, a walking piece of heaven.
Me and my Marie shops in Lake.
Me and my Marie Sharp in Indiana.
I'm in Rhonda Beach, California with my Marie Sharp.
Me and my Marie shops in Kabul, Afghanistan.
Me and my Marie shop at Hertfordshire, England.
Me and my Marie shops in Taipei, Taiwan.
Marie Sharp, world-class products produced in Belize.
So nice, Caribbean pride, need you in my life.
My name is Lucille Duran. I am a proud Dominican, and I love Caribbean Pride juice.
I'm Timothy, and I'm from Barbados. My choice is clear, Caribbean Pride.
Hope from Belize. I choose Caribbean Pride because I take pride in what goes into my body.
Hey, it's your boy MC Cox, straight out from St. Lucia. My favorite choice of drink is Caribbean Pride. There's lots of flavors in this juice.
For the young and the old, for the rich and the poor, we're drinking Caribbean Pride.
P-Tech has been in Belize now for more than 6 years. We specialize in residential and industrial high-quality glass windows and doors.
I chose P-Tech windows because they're the highest quality I can get.
I chose P-Tech windows because I'm quite impressed about the way they're manufactured. These are double pane glasses. They're called low E. That keeps out a lot of the heat.
Check us out at p-tek.com or give us a call at 671-3842.
Free t-shirt? The answer is yes! Get a free t-shirt at Caribbean Tire with every Valvoline oil change. Caribbean Tire, taking you home safely.
Welcome back to Morning Matters. The Honorable Tracy Panton in with us this morning. Minister, again, welcome back.
Thank you.
Minister, in this segment, I want to learn what motivated you to enter into politics.
What motivated me? I guess the right time, the right place at the right time. And I say that because all my life, I have always known that I wanted to serve my country in some way. And so my career path started in tourism. I first worked in the private sector with the Ramada International at the time when they opened their doors to Belize the first time. I was the director of sales and marketing for the Ramada. And after serving a corporate entity, I felt there's still more I wanted to do. I felt that I was making a contribution to Belize, but the kind of contribution I wanted to make. I really wanted to be able to see how we could use tourism to help to empower people and build communities. And so I applied and we got a job at the Belize Tourism Board. And I worked my way up, if you will, from director of marketing for the BTB to the director of the Belize Tourism Board. In a capacity I served for almost 15 years of my professional work. I took a hiatus after that, and I served as the general manager for the Belize National Energy Trust Fund. And during that time, I was able to really work countrywide in communities that were vulnerable, particularly with for education and with young people. And I felt that I love what I did at the trust. Anything to do with people I gravitate to. But tourism was still very much front and center in terms of my passion. And so when I was offered the job as Chief Executive Officer for the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Civil Aviation, I decided to, to get involved at the ministry level, which is the policy making level of the tourism. And after I served my first term, or was completing my first contract period, which is a period of 3 years, I was approached by the Prime Minister to ask me if I would consider running for political office. And I gave it a lot of thought. I thought about, I reflected a lot on my dad's wisdom in terms of if you want to change things, you have to be willing to be part of the change. You can't sit on the fence. You have to get you have to get involved. You cannot be afraid to make your voice heard. And so I decided, since it was in the Albert constituency where I grew up, where I would have said my neighbor Stringberry, where my roots were, and how much I had seen my community change from when I was a child to we are today, I decided to accept that responsibility and get involved in political work. I will tell you, Rhonda, I've worked hard all my life, very, very hard in terms of being part of the building the foundation for tourism's growth and development. But being a politician is really hard work because every decision you make impacts a person's life or a family's life, and that's a huge responsibility to carry. But I really believe that this is part of my calling to serve Belize in a leadership capacity. And so I have embraced this role, even though I will tell you that, there are very few women politicians. And in fact, in this case, there are only 2 elected women politicians, Ms. Beverly Williams, my colleague, and I. And so we have, I think, a greater responsibility in trying to influence other young women to take on greater leadership roles in all aspects of their lives and to get involved in the political discourse in this country, because 50% of our population are women. And yet when we sit at the negotiating table at cabinet, we only represent less than 20% of that number. And so we need a critical mass so we can effect changes that positively impact women and young people. And so that, I think that is part of the role and mandate that I believe I still have a lot to contribute to. And that is why I look forward to my second term in government, which hopefully will be coming very shortly.
What was it like winning that seat as a woman for the first time? That seat has never been held by another woman before. What was that like for you?
I think it was a great achievement, not just for me, but for all the people who supported me and the team of, of young women, including my two daughters, who supported the campaign from the onset. So my candidacy was announced in May, and we had elections in November. And so I had a very short time on the ground in terms of establishing the relationship with the residents and the voters, and ask them to give me a chance to be of service to this community. And so I had a lot of people who shared that goal and that vision that it was time for us to have more women in elected office. And we wanted a woman in Albert. And so that night to me was a signal that I hope not only for me, but for the young people I hopefully influence, that you can do it. No matter how difficult the journey, you can do it. It really doesn't matter your gender. It should not matter your gender. But if you put your heart and your energy and your effort into something, you can achieve your goal.
Why do you believe that women have such a difficult time in politics?
It's still a boys' club, in my view. You know, sometimes the more important part of the meetings or decisions are taken, or ideas are traded, not necessarily around the cabinet table, after the cabinet meeting when the guys hang out. And so there's no real place for women traditionally in politics in Belize, and on both political sides of this discussion. And so you have to really be very assertive as a woman. You have to be able to venture into territory that may be uncomfortable. You may have to move out of your comfort zone. But if you want to succeed, you have to do what you have to do. And you have to garner the respect and confidence of your male colleagues. It's still very much male dominated. And it's still seen by a large part that this is a traditional role for men. And so we really need to turn that corner as a young nation, I believe.
What are you doing to try to close the gap?
Getting my male colleagues to understand that we also have something to contribute to the discourse and to discussion, and really trying to understand their perspective and getting them to understand our perspective, because we share different perspectives. We all have the same desire, right? To serve the country, to serve our communities, that kind of thing. But it's an adjustment, right? It's an adjustment to have these two women sitting at the cabinet table. They have to be more careful with their language, that kind of thing, so as not to be offensive to us as women. And so it's really just trying to understand them and have them see us as a vital part of meeting the growing demands of this country and meeting the particular needs of women and children and families, which is so important in terms of having a productive society, not only in Belize, but the world over, you know.
What do you think we can do to attract more women to the table?
I think we need to support women more in taking on leadership roles. It's hard. I mean, there are different standards for women than they are for men. When I say that women need to work 3 times as hard to get the same thing accomplished, it's absolutely true. And so, you know, I look at something as simple as getting contributions from the business community to do a particular project in your area. My male colleague will go and get twice as much to do the same kind of project.
Minister, do you think it's only because it's a guy, or you think that there are other factors that bring that result?
I'm sure there are other factors, but I believe that generally people still see politicians as a male-dominated role in our society, and so women are not. If you have to have an unshakable belief in yourself to be able to jump some of the hurdles that I think women have to jump. I mean, some of the things that are said about women politicians, I have read some things written about me, and I can't even recognize that person. And so if you don't have a strong network, or if you don't have a strong family supporting you and friends who are willing to support you, it's easy to fall apart. It can get vicious at times, particularly in a political season. And so the personal attacks, women say, I don't want to deal with that. I thank you, but no thank you, because what you have to endure is too much to cross that hurdle. But the more of us that do it, the easier it will become. And so, I spend a lot of time mentoring and nurturing young women, and whether it's political leadership or leadership in their church community or wherever they want to take a leadership role, to encourage them to take that step, because that's the first step, right? When I was in high school, I was class president, I was school president. I took on roles because I've always gravitated to leadership roles because I wanted my voice to be heard, and I wanted the voice of my peers to be heard. I thought that we had something to say that was worth listening to. And it takes a lot of courage to be a front runner. But I think once Honorable Beverly Williams and I crossed that path, and the women who have come before us, like Faith Babb and certainly Mrs. Jane Usher and those people who have been foundational, hopefully more women will see that it is absolutely imperative for us to have a voice in terms of political leadership.
You said that it takes an unshakable belief in yourself. What do you contribute at achieving that too?
For me, it is my faith. And it's also the support of my family. You always have to find something that centers you as an individual. So what centers you? What is your go-to point when the world feels like it's collapsing around you, or you feel that you're being treated unfairly, or you're being targeted? What's your go-to point? And my go-to point is my faith and my family. And also knowing that, in this business, there's not necessarily a right and a wrong. You have to go back. What is your intention? Why did you get involved in this in the first place? What is it that you hope to achieve? And having those conversations with yourself. So it doesn't matter if somebody thinks that you weigh too much or you're not pretty enough. Those things shouldn't matter. What should matter is, what do you think you bring to the table? What do you not only think, what do you know that you bring to the table? And where do you believe you can make a difference? And just sticking to that and holding on to that, like when you hold on to the reins of a horse, hold on with all your strength and all your might, and not allowing people to derail you. Because I will tell you, Rhonda, there are some really mean people out there. And I don't know if their intention is to be mean, but some of the things that are said and done, and you ask to what end, does that person hope to achieve by doing that or by saying that, And if you have to listen to the voice within, and hold on to the people and things that help to lift you up.
What we're going to do, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will find out why you decide to enter your name again on a ballot, considering that some may say this is the worst time to be a politician, any politician. We're going to take a break and be back.
Did you know that it's best to keep the lumber stored in a dry place?
At KT Enterprises, all our wood is stored in an enclosed space to provide our clients with the highest quality.
We allow you to personally select your lumber if you choose, and we deliver countrywide.
Be it deckboard, beams, and imported hardwoods such as red oak and white ash. At KT Enterprises, we provide you with the highest grade in treated pine, construction grade plywood, and imported hardwood, delivered to your door.
We continue to build Belize by reforesting its pine forest. Visit us today at 2.3 miles Iguana Creek Road, or give us a call at 671-0114 or 672-0114.
New Buildings Limited is the company of choice when it comes to design, fabricating, and erection of wide-span metal buildings in Belize. At New Buildings, we have a team of well-trained professionals that can produce the most innovative and durable metal structures. Be it domestic or industrial buildings, we can get it done for you. We have put together some of the most outstanding metal structures in the country. We also do estimates and consulting. Visit New Buildings in Spanish Lookout or give them a call at 631-8723 or 610-5185. New Buildings Limited, the experts when it comes to metal structures in Belize.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because of its perfect portion sizes, and I can travel with it.
Because it's nice and soft and creamy, and it goes smooth on your bread.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because I eat it with my beans. I eat it with my fried jack. And you know why? Because it's nice.
Most of all, when you're on the plane, you know they only give you some crackers and you could just take one out and enjoy it with Happy Cow cheese.
I'm Miss Baker and I choose Happy Cow cheese because it goes well with all the stuff I bake.
Happy Cow cheese. Look for it in a store near you. Distributed in Belize exclusively by Emilio Ahmad and Sons Limited.
I chose Galen because of its strong reputation, great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
Because Galen University opens doors to the outside world.
Their course offering in tourism.
It gives you more opportunity to become who I want to be.
If you want to connect with your inner champion to make the world a better place, then Galen is right for you.
Hello guys, welcome to Friends of Friends.
Friends of Friends Outback. It's the ideal meeting place for any and everyone that's looking to enjoy a great mix of indoor and outdoor comfort while sipping on your favorite drink or eating that tasty meal. They serve all the best in local and international dishes. On Thursdays, it's Mexican night, happy hour all weekend. Fridays, it's wine and dine. On Saturdays, come relax with karaoke tunes, and Sunday is family fun day. The property is equipped with games and other activities to keep everyone entertained and engaged. Friends of Friends also caters to weddings, conferences, and private parties. Visit Friends of Friends at 46 Dewdrop Estate. Follow the signs from Mile 11.5 Northern Highway. Friends of Friends Outback, a walking piece of heaven.
Me and my Marie shops in Lake.
Me and my Marie Sharp in Indiana.
I'm in Rhonda Beach, California with my Marie Sharp.
Me and my Marie shops in Kabul, Afghanistan.
Me and my Marie shop that are Hertfordshire, England.
Me and my Marie Sharps in Taipei, Taiwan.
Marie Sharp, world-class products produced in Belize. P-Tech has been in Belize now for more than 6 years. We specialize in residential and industrial high-quality glass windows and doors.
I chose P-Tech windows because they're the highest quality I can get.
I chose P-Tech windows because I'm quite impressed about the way they're manufactured. These are double pane glasses. They're called low E. That keeps out a lot of the heat.
Check us out at p-tek.com or give us a call at 671-3842.
Free t-shirt? The answer is yes! Get a free t-shirt at Caribbean Tire with every Valvoline oil change. Caribbean Tire, taking you home safely.
Welcome back to the third and final segment of Morning Matters. Minister, welcome back. Before the break, I asked, why this time again at a time like this?
Particularly at a time like this, Rhonda, this is my first term in office, and certainly as a novice, there are lots of things I learned in my first term. The work is certainly not completed. The transformation that we want to see in this constituency and the growth and development we need to see in Belize is not done yet. I believe from my work, my life's work, in terms of laying the foundation for tourism development in Belize, and certainly now in my abilities in terms of Minister of Investment, Trade and Commerce, there's a lot more we can do as a country and as a government and as a people to really tap into the fullest potential of Belize, and we're not there yet. I believe I can make a contribution to getting us where we need to be. I certainly committed in politics or out of politics. I am committed to serving this country, to being part of this country's development. And as I've said before in the last segment, we need to have the voices of women at the highest decision-making level in this country. And that is why I offer myself. I love my constituents. I have certainly, I think I've developed a very strong relationship with our constituents. I want that to be at a deeper level. And I think it requires more time together in serving this community for me to achieve those things. That is why I offered myself for a second term. I believe that at a time like this, we really need to bring our best minds to the table in all sectors of our country's development. And so to walk away now would be, in my mind, to do a disservice to this constituency and to the country at large.
One would want to know, how do you manage your time, especially at a time like this? You have your family, you have work, and the work is most difficult at this time. How does this minister manage her time?
It's a difficult balance, Ms. Rhonda. I find that I give most of my time to the work that I do in the constituency, and my family reminds me every now and again that I have to kind of balance the pendulum. Luckily for me, my daughters are grown; they're adults now. So while I think they still need my love and support, they are finding a path of their own. They're charting a path of their own, and so I that part of mothering them and nurturing them doesn't require as much of my time. My husband is a professional. He spends long hours in terms of his own law practice, and so I have a little bit more time to give to the work that we do in this constituency, and certainly in my responsibilities at the with the government of Belize. But it is difficult. There are days when I feel that I just want to shut it all down just to regroup, because you can't serve from an empty cup, right? So it's important to find that balance. I still struggle with that, in finding the right balance, but I absolutely love what I do. So they say when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Your passion is tourism. Considering that, how do you feel about the airport opening?
There are concerns, right? We have to be concerned about how we cope with COVID-19 and how we open up our country, particularly since 80% of our tourism does come from North America. So the US is a big target market for us for tourism. I do believe, as I believe in education, that we have to open up. We have to learn to coexist with this pandemic that we're dealing with. We have to do so as responsibly as we can. The health and well-being of our young nation has to be of paramount importance. And there are really robust debates on whether the airport should open or not open, whether schools should open or not open. But remember, once we begin this process, the minute we cite a problem or an issue, that decision can be reversed. Even before the 15th of August, if we believe that it is really not prudent, considering all the factors and our preparedness as a country to reopen the airport, we can always reverse that decision. But I think we have to start slowly. This is August and September and October is the slowest period in terms of our tourism activity in the country. And so if we're going to, let's not wait for November when we're going to have a larger group. Let us start slowly and work through the process to see if we can indeed handle receiving tourists with the protocols that have been put in place.
You say that you can reverse the decision if needs be. When you say that, I'm sure that everybody that's watching this show, their ears and their eye perk up, because there are some people out there that have already started their investment with that plan in mind, that August 15th is going to be the day. What are the chances of that decision being reversed?
We discussed it last week as a cabinet, and we still felt very strongly that opening a slow process in terms of reopening or airports, certainly the borders can't open anytime soon, the land borders, is really the most prudent way to manage it. And so, we monitor the situation on a weekly basis. We are not making these decisions alone. Certainly, our partners in tourism, in the private sector, and wider civil society are part of the decision making. So it's being done together. It's not us telling you what can be done and what cannot be done, but how we work through this process together. And I think if we decide to reverse that decision, which is certainly not on the table yet, we would use the same approach as we did in terms of discussing the reopening, in consultation with the partners and the people who will be most affected by us having to reverse that decision if that need does arise.
What do you feel are some of the immediate long-term effects that this pandemic has caused on Belize in the tourism sector?
Tourism is a very important contributor to our GDP, to our national economy. And so that has virtually collapsed completely. And that has had a significant bearing on ability for people to have meaningful employment and to provide for themselves and their families. That's a big thing. The lack of foreign exchange coming into the country is a big thing in terms of, we use foreign exchange to procure goods and services for this country. But it's also forced us, I think, or should be forcing us to look at what are some of the new opportunities we may have missed in terms of diversifying our economy and how we can create new opportunities and help to nurture and develop entrepreneurs to create goods and services that we can consume here instead of, there's an imbalance of trade. We import far more than we're able to produce locally. And I think we have a tremendous opportunity now to really focus on areas that can support the productive sector, not only for our own local consumption, but how we feed the region, CARICOM and certainly Central America, as neighboring regions of which we are a part of. So the impact is going to be not a short-term impact. It's going to be far-reaching. But I think that while we can dwell on the negatives, I think we should focus on where new opportunities are emerging for Belize in terms of getting our goods and services to export our goods and services to other markets.
I would imagine that during this time, you, like many of us, have been looking at new opportunities. What are some of the ways that you can see immediately that we can start moving forward?
Certainly in terms of our trade agreement with CARICOM, a lot of the countries in the region have to source food, right? Because they're small island states that don't produce anything, who rely maybe 90% on tourism activity. So being able to reach new markets in CARICOM in terms of what we're able to produce here. I saw last week that the cleaning company just opened an outlet in Grenada. I mean, those things are so positive for the country and creates not only opportunities in small island states, but also for Belize. And so I believe we can become the breadbasket for this region. I think that certainly with improving our technology, we can also export some of our services to the region and really become more self-sufficient and self-reliant rather than importing these goods and services that we are quite capable of producing ourselves.
Is there anything being done in CARICOM for the non-tariff barriers? I think that that is one of the biggest hold-ups, if you want to call it that, that's preventing us to trade freely the way it was intended. Is there any adjustments being made at this time for that?
You know, we quoted, which is the Council for Trade and Economic Development in CARICOM, meets twice a year. And really, while we have some bureaucracy that I think we need to disband, but really there is a desire to create that single market and economy and to look at where the barriers are and try to take them down. I think what COVID will do, this pandemic will do, is force us to move with greater exigencies, if you will, and expediency in terms of dealing with some of those issues.
What has been the greatest lesson you've learned from the position that you now hold?
Oh, wow, that's a loaded question, Ms. Rhonda. There are lots of lessons, certainly. Taking on a role in political leadership has helped me to grow exponentially as a person, and to force myself to examine myself within, and also to force myself to be the best version of myself I can be. Because I know that whatever decision I make, whatever approach I use, what tone of voice I may speak to someone, really is going to have a lasting impact on that person or that group of people, or that group of young public servants that I get to work with on a daily basis. And so I think that it's probably the hardest role I've ever taken on, other than the role of mother, but it has stretched me to really open up my heart and my mind and really push to become a better version of I was as a person. I have received so much love and so much appreciation from the lives that we are able to touch, that it outweighs any of the difficulties I may have faced along the way in being taken on a political leadership role in this country. I am excited by what the opportunities that really exist in this country, and really how we can change lives for the better if we work together. And so I think there must be some greater maturity, if you will, for lack of a better term, in our political discourse, because this country really needs all of us. Whether we sit in government or whether we sit in opposition, this country needs the best of all of us. Belize is rich beyond, particularly when you look at our countries in CARICOM, for example, and what we have to offer. And I think if we spend more time working together, trying to solve the problems rather than having this bickering, I think we would be further along. And so I hope I can continue to contribute to that political discourse in a way that brings our best minds to the table so we can find the solutions we need for crime prevention or family care or all the things that impact the lives of people in this country. If I can do my small part, I will be I've certainly been very humbled by the work that we have done and the lives that we have been able to touch in some small way.
Well, excellent. You are now, like I said in the past, you're putting your name in the hat again. Why should people choose Tracy Tager Panton?
I think my leadership, I think I have certainly lead with compassion. I listen to the needs of the people. We have been able to deliver on our commitments that we have made to individuals in this constituency. My commitment to the development of this country, I think my past record speaks for itself, and that commitment has not waned at all. In fact, I have been re-energized when I look at the work that needs yet to be done, that I need to stay in the game, and love what I do. I love the people that I serve. And I love this country. It's quite simple. I think that I am the only choice for Albert, frankly. And I think that the people of Albert will respond in kind because they know that what they see is what they get. I'm a straight shooter. I tell it like it is. And we work together to try and create a better community. And that's what we need.
What is your vision for Belize?
You know, Rhonda, my father used to say something, and people always thought that, you know, he was speaking way ahead of his time. But it's something I've held on to. He said, Belize is the place where God will express the true brotherhood of man, of mankind, of humankind. And I really believe that Belize is the center point in this region, and that we can be a beacon of light for the world in how we treat our citizens and how our citizens are able to contribute to our country's development and how our country's development can contribute to the greater good of humanity. I believe that. And we will only do so by creating opportunities for our young people in particular, educating our young people, engaging our young people in terms of really being a part of our country's development. We can certainly be self-sufficient. I don't see why we need to be, we can become more economically independent if we really tap into the potential of this country. And I hope that I am going to be part of a team that will lead that charge for Belize, that we will become that center point in this region that shows the rest of the world how we must live together as citizens.
If there's a young person out there that has a dream but don't have the belief in self, what would you say to him or her?
It's a personal journey, right? To develop the belief in yourself. Because for many of our young people, they have been told that they can't or they shouldn't. And that's all they hear. That has been, they hear that more than they hear what they bring to the table. And I tell the young people, you keep talking to yourself. And you keep listening to that voice within you that tells you that you can do this. And you follow your dreams, because if you have that dream, it can come true. You have to work at it. It's not going to be easy. It's not an overnight process. But you just keep taking small steps. And eventually, I mean, I never dreamed. And certainly, my grandmother, who had 8 children, who never had a day of education in her life, not one day of formal education, would have ever dreamed that her granddaughter would have become a member of parliament in this country. It was beyond what she could even envision. All she knew was that she had to work hard so that her kids could get an education. And she believed very strongly that education was the way out of poverty. And she wanted her children to live a life outside of poverty. That commitment and work ethic, I think, and listening to her voice, can you imagine having a child at 15? How scary that must have been at that time. But she stayed the course. And I want to build on that legacy. And I tell every young person, anything that you set your mind and heart to, and anything you're willing to work towards, you can achieve. I'm certain that I am a product of my grandmother's legacy. I'm a product of my grandmother's belief in herself that she could nurture and care for her 8 children, and she could give them an education. And here I am today, and I hope that my children, my 2 daughters, will be able to transcend what I have done, because they have seen work in action and what work in action can produce.
Minister, I say thank you. Any final words?
I want to thank you, Ms. Rhonda, for the opportunity to talk to the Belizean people and appeal to all of us to be kind and to share your love with all those you meet every day. It might be just a simple gesture, you know, it might just be a smile or a kind word that goes a very, very long way. And I look forward to continue to serving this country to the very best of my ability.
Again, Minister, I say thank you and have a lovely day.
Thank you.